Ernest Caston coming to you with Wind Down Wednesdays on the bird's eye view of real estate and business. And today is a special, wonderful, wonderful show. I have a special guest in today. First, let me introduce you to Miss Erica Clark.
Hello, good evening.
There you go. And one of our special guests is Miss Dana Franklin.
Hello, good evening.
Hey, I give it to you like that, Dana.
Hi, good evening, good evening.
There you
Welcome.
go.
Okay.
So Dana, tell us a little bit. Everybody know me. I'm a Chicago area realtor. I focus on the city and I focus on the southern suburbs, servicing those that want to sell or buy a home. Erica she's our
tax lady. I have to come up with a name, but right now it's tax lady.
You the tax lady, you the tax specialist.
I'm the tax
queen. You the tax queen.
The tax guru. Yeah.
The tax guru.
There
and
we
got
go.
Miss Dana Franklin. What's gonna be your what's your name, Dana? You gotta give yourself a title.
I don't have one. I don't know.
We'll come up with something.
I think it's something.
After you drop these jewels and give everybody some of this good knowledge that you've been sitting on, we're gonna come up with a name for you that's gonna be beneficial and informative to our audience.
Okay.
So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
My name is Dana Franklin. I am one of the managing principals for Quad Pro Tax. Work alongside with Erica. I've been an accountant 20 plus years. I'm doing taxes for about 12 plus years. I enjoy it. I enjoy helping people and getting their taxes done. I mostly enjoy answering questions and educating people about taxes, more so than just doing their taxes, not saying nothing to them, pushing their paper out the way, giving my money and going on about your business. I like to educate people and talk to folks because some tax preparers do that. They just don't really talk to you. They're not personal. They don't want to educate you on what's going on and like looking forward to what's going to happen next tax year with new tax laws coming on. A lot of people don't like to do that part. So I enjoy that part of doing taxes.
And it's great that you say that because I've been before I met Erica, but before I started bringing my taxes over to Erica, I have dealt with a couple of preparers that just took my information, took my money, and pretty much I didn't even know that if they would be held responsible if they signed the bottom of help me out. If they didn't sign the bottom of that document, I'm pretty much held responsible.
You're held responsible.
You're held responsible. Exactly.
Yeah. So
exactly.
We definitely need knowledgeable people like you that's in the industry and people that want to share the knowledge and allow us to grow from all perspectives because our money is everything.
Absolutely.
Our money is everything.
Absolutely.
So the tax season is on us. It started when did it
started on Monday.
It started Monday.
Oh, wow.
Started Monday.
So
yeah.
They about to be blowing you guys' phones up. So what should we expect this tax season?
That for me or Erica?
Hey, y'all. Hey, this y'all lane. I'm coaching.
We can expect some delays from the IRS and giving refunds back. Let's say that. I don't think it's going to be the regular 7 to 10 business days, or what was it, 10 to 14 business days? I think it was.
Yeah, now it may be up to 21. So they asking people just to be patient because they are so behind from last year. They still got 10 million returns that they haven't done yet.
Returns and amendments. So if you're waiting on your amendment to come and tax return, and people still haven't gotten their refunds back from last year. So
So
they have a shortage of employees.
They do. What's the holdup?
They have a shortage of employees. Okay. They don't have enough workers for all the. I mean, they only had 15,000 workers for 20-some million phone calls that came in through last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're behind. They're very, very behind. If you have not received last year's, please be patient because a lot of the IRS, they're not answering the phone. It may take you a while to get through to them. So just be patient, talk to your tax preparer, and then see if they can get through, or see what you can do. But this is like a waiting game right now. I've never seen this happen before, but with all the COVID and people getting sick,
and then them also working from home. So a lot of the workers work from home. And I was like, I don't know how that's going to work with the phones, because unless they have like a VoIP system or, over the Mitel or something like that,
right?
How are they answering the phones? And they can't. Yeah. So no one's there to answer your questions. So
with those taxes being delayed like that, a lot of people gonna be pretty much shifting the blame on you guys.
No, there's nothing we can do. Your money is not going in our pockets. We don't collect your money through the year, so you cannot go. So don't come. All I'm asking people is just don't go run into your tax preparer like, "Where's my refund? Where's my refund?"
Right.
I tell everyone, it may be a delay. You may get it, so this is the best time. If you still getting paper checks, that's going to be non-obsolete in a minute. So if you still getting paper checks, everyone should have a bank deposit, a bank account. Even young people, my daughter has one and she's 7. So even teenagers, everyone should have some type of bank ID, bank information, so it can be direct deposited into your account. That's the easiest way to get your money.
Absolutely.
So
I don't even think they're going to be cutting checks here in the near future.
Yeah.
Right. So,
that's
who's still getting paper checks though?
Oh, you'll be surprised.
You'll be surprised.
The same people, some people that still go to the currency exchange to cash their check.
Right. Oh wow.
If that's the case, currency exchange will be going out of business, but it's not. So some people, like, if you need help with, I help you set your bank account. If just to get you up to the times, that way they have no excuse not to deposit your money.
Okay. So what else? So what are some of the other new things, or some of the nuances of this tax season? What are some of the other things that we're going to face?
Go ahead, Dan. I'm gonna let you handle these questions.
Well, the first thing and foremost thing is on everybody's mind is that child tax credit that we received during the year, that if you were a parent in the fourth quote unquote stimulus that we got, or for parents that have dependents on their tax return, the child tax credit, they had an option to opt out for it. So basically what it was, the IRS gave every parent $250 for 6 months. So from July to December, you got $250 a month, which is basically giving you your credit that they would normally give you on your tax at tax time for your tax return. You would get a full $3,000. So they said, we're going to give you $1,500 in your pocket as the next stimulus. We're going to break it up over 6 months. You could have opted out of that and not got the money for the 6 months and just waited to have the whole credit at the end at the end of the year for tax, or you could have got it there. Now, the issue is that I don't think people understood how that was going to work when it came time for you to do your taxes, that you weren't going to get the full $3,000 credit that you normally get for dependents because you got the money up front. So right now the IRS has sent out letter 6419 to everyone telling them that you got this money. We know you got it because we got a record. Yeah. Oh wait, I got mine. Hey, I ain't got mine. It's in my letter thing, but I have mine.
Right.
Stating that this is how much you got, and this is so. As a result, they're gonna deduct that $1,500 off of your
off the top
of the tax return, and then you're only gonna get a $1,500 credit. So they basically split the child tax credit that you would normally get.
So all right. So help me understand, because I literally just got this letter in the mail. So when you start talking about the tax credit. So I got $1,500 from what'd you say, from January?
From July to December.
July to December.
So the other $1,500 is gonna be applied.
It's gonna be on the tax return.
Oh man.
You get that as a credit.
You get it as a credit.
Instead of the whole $3,000, because it just increased this year.
Yeah, it did.
It would just be $1,500.
$1,500.
Oh wow. So how could you have opted out of that? I didn't.
It was very light reading. If you didn't read, you had to log on to the IRS, go onto your profile, and there was a way you could click on there to opt out, and you would just hit the button and save it, and that would opt you out, and you wouldn't get the $250 every month. It would just be on your tax return.
Oh wow! Well,
and it was at the very beginning.
Hey,
Hey, Felicia. It would be at the very beginning of the tax return. I mean, at the very beginning of when it first came out in July. You could opt out. You could have opted out, honestly, at any time. You could have stopped it at any time. If you only wanted for 3 months, you could have stopped it. If you only wanted 1 month or 2 months, at any time, you could have went on, logged on, and opted out of it. And then whatever credit you didn't take in form of cash, it would have just cumulatively went on to your tax return for the credit.
Now that's funny. Now who's stopping $250?
Exactly.
Exactly.
We need that money. We need that money.
You would be surprised. I had 2 clients call me adamantly and say, I do not want this. How do I give it back? Or how do I stop this? I want the whole credit at the end of the year. I don't want to get any money throughout the year. So that's how I know that you can do it, because I showed her how to go in and she opted out. The other one didn't.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of planning. That's why I always talk about tax planning. You have to plan how your year is going to go. So that's just one of the things that people have to be careful. Mm-hmm. That does not necessarily mean that you're going to owe. It just means that your refund may be less than what it usually is. That's all.
Absolutely. That's all.
I did not know that. I was waiting on. I seen that $250 drop in my account, and I had to do some Googling to find out what was going on. And realized I was getting a tax credit. Matter of fact, I was looking for it in January. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah, they didn't renew it. So it stopped. The Biden thing, he never. I don't think it didn't get voted on.
No, it didn't.
So keep going.
Mm-hmm. So what else should we expect? Because I know you guys gonna get bombarded with phone calls, emails.
And then also, people that may have forgotten that we did get a third stimulus check in 2021 that was part of the 2020 package. So people may have forgotten about that check we got in January, about $1,400. Well, it was $700 per person. I think it was the credit.
Right.
I'm not sure. Per person on your tax, dependent, yourself, wife, husband, So people have probably forgotten about that. There's a letter coming for that as well to let you know that you did receive it.
So let me put this back to the side.
Put that in your envelope.
And then if you didn't receive it, or if you didn't receive all of it, there's still going to be an option to be able to. Is it the recovery credit, Erica?
Yeah.
The recovery credit. Okay, it'll be an option that if you didn't receive the full amount, that you can take the credit on your tax return.
Okay.
And that's a letter for that too. I forgot the number on that one, but you'll get a letter for that too. Stimulus letter.
So Dana, I wanted to follow up with you on that. So what should a person do to get ready for tax season? What should they bring to their tax preparer? What type of questions should they have? Like, what is ideal? Not everybody run it all at one time, but what should they do so it can be as less painful as possible?
Okay. I see that. So to make it less painful for you and your tax preparer, especially if you, this is your first time going to this person. You were referred, because most of the people refer good people. They refer, business based on referrals. So they'll refer somebody to you. And when they come to you, the first thing you kind of really need to see, you want to see the prior year tax return if they have it. I've had quite a few clients that said they never got their tax return. They don't know what it looks like. They've never seen it. And I would be, wow, that's all you can say, but you just go ahead with what they have currently. Right. So you want to make sure you have your W-2 forms for all the jobs you have. You want to make sure you have any 1098s. If you have a home, your mortgage interest statement, that's a 1098. Any 1099s, like miscellaneous income or interest expense or anything you get. Basically, I tell my clients, anything that got a number and a letter with it, bring it to me.
All right.
If you don't know what it is, it's got a number in front, 1099, 1028, 10, whatever, W this and K that and G this, bring it to me.
Well, I'm definitely gonna line up my. You see, I got mine sitting to the side, and as it come in, I'm getting it prepared to bring it to you guys and get myself squared up. So we got another special guest sitting in the waiting room. I'm gonna bring her on. Her name is Georgette Reynolds. Georgette, you there?
Here.
All right, come on in. Come on in. Oh, there we go.
Hey.
Hi.
Guys.
We got a full party.
Evening.
Good evening.
Good
Right.
evening.
We got a full
house
party.
today.
Yes.
We got a full party, and we didn't start this show off correctly because I want to give a toast to every show. Every show, I want to give a toast and a sip to all of you ladies. And
Well,
thank you, guys.
I have my water.
You better find something. There we go. To a wonderful show. So, Georgette.
Yes.
Dana was talking about taxes. You got anything that maybe you can contribute? I'm gonna take my glass myself first.
Related to taxes? No, I'm gonna stay in my lane with the law. The only thing I will say is because I do get clients who have questions when they are selling their property and if they have capital gains taxes, which I just refer them to the tax experts because I don't know their particular circumstances. So if you want to touch upon, capital gains as it relates to real estate sales, that would be good for people to know when they're selling.
Well, as far as capital gains, if it's their primary home, as long as it's like a cap at 250,000. So anything between what you're selling at 250,000 is not taxable income. So you don't have to. So anything over 250, that's where the capital gain it comes into place, and that's when it's taxed. If there's any investors or any landlords or someone who's bought a building, now they want to sell it, they have to come up with some type of cost basis for their building. So whenever they sold it for, and then the profit, whatever difference is, now that is taxable. But the trick about that one is if you fixed it up, if you made any type of repairs to that building, that's added on to you. So when you sell it, your cost, your price of the building kind of go up, and then whatever you sold it for, then that's where your capital gain. So you want to
build your base.
You want to close in that gap between what you sold it for, but I mean that's not your profit. That's just what you're taxed on.
Right.
So that's like two different things. You can get $300,000. That's your profit, but how it's taxed, you may be taxed on 200,000.
Yeah, right.
Even though you made 300,000. So that's the capital gain. So that comes into play. So you just got to be careful with that. But any single people or married that's selling their primary home, as long as you don't go over that $200,000 profit, then it's not taxable.
So for a married couple, it's more for a married couple, correct?
Yeah, it's 500. So anything with is double, so it'll be 500,000.
Okay.
So I mean, in this day and market, I haven't really seen houses sell like that, but who knows?
Right.
Down the line,
this market, they selling like that. You guys
they're selling like that. So it may be different. It may be different this year. So it just depends.
The market, you would be surprised at the price points where a lot of these homes are being sold. And some people are paying should be paying capital gains tax from what they selling their properties at.
Okay.
So Dana, what else? What else is new in 2022 tax season?
That's pretty much. Well, I will say this. Let's touch on the W-4 right quick, because what we're seeing from the couple clients that I've seen so far is that there hasn't been enough of federal taxes withheld from their paychecks throughout the year. So I had one client in particular that had no taxes withheld out of her W-2. So when she brought it to me, I looked at it and I was like, they didn't, because the W-4 changed on how it's calculated and what it looks like. No more is it just how many dependents or how many deductions are you taking? You list 1, 2, 3, or 4, 6, 10, whatever. It's totally calculated totally different. So if you haven't changed your W-4 from the time since you've been working there, I would advise everyone to go back and take a look and see what their W-4 says, because everyone so far this year, we saw it trend a little bit last year with not enough taxes being taken out, and asking people like, hey, what happened? And, did you take more deductions? What happened? But this year, once we realized the W-4 changed, was it in April, May? When did the W-4 change?
No, it changed a couple of
Was
years
it
ago.
June?
This is through Trump.
Oh, okay. So it was 20. When I say, I mean years, 2019. 2019 when it changed.
It was doing Trump year. He changed. Well, I don't know if he changed it personally.
I don't know if he changed it personally or when it happened.
He changed the W-4 form.
Right. So it's totally, now you have to calculate it based on your dependents, and it's a dollar amount. It's no longer 1, 2, 3, or 4. So if you're not putting you have to basically pretty much calculate how much tax needs to be withheld from your check, yourself, every pay period for the whole year in order to not be under withheld. So if no one's looked at their W-4, which who's looked at their W-4? No one. Right. That's not something that you do on an annual basis. You just set it and really forget it. So the amount of money that they were taking out of everyone's, we've seen just a drop in federal taxes being withheld. So I would advise everyone to take a look at their W-4, contact the HR department, and take a look and see. And you'll probably see you're only withholding about $500 out of a paycheck, but your check is, $4,000 a month, and you're only withholding $1,000, a month in taxes. So that's main things I've seen.
I would advise them definitely to either reach out to you or Erica to at least go pretty much do their taxes, have them done, but have a professional to go over it and pretty much set them on the right path going into 2022. And that way, next year, everything will be done properly.
Right. Keep them on track. Like I tell people, when first time comers, there's nothing really I can do for you from last year because that's already done. All I can do is move forward and try to get you on track for this year, and then track your plan, and that way you won't fall into those same traps that you did in prior years.
Yeah.
Right.
So I can't think. Go ahead.
Oh no, I want to bring Georgette in.
Right, bring Georgette in. We want to.
I want to find a bridge. I'm thinking of trying to find a bridge to bring Georgette in taxes, because Georgette she comes.
Well,
Georgette. There you are. Okay.
Well, there you go, Georgette. You froze up on us.
You froze for a minute.
We thought you were trying to run away from us.
No. I do want to say this with respect to real estate for the self-employed. If you may be able to touch on that with taxes, because when people are looking to buy and they're self-employed, they probably need to think about the deductions that they take, because you want to take these deductions to minimize your tax liability. However, you're lowering your gross income, and so you're looking to buy a certain home that's priced at a certain price point. You may not be able to get because of your income. So you may want to touch on that and make sure that, from what I know, and this is a lender question, but typically they want to at least see that you have 2 years worth of tax returns before you can qualify for self-employed. So I don't know if you guys want to touch on that in the deduction. Yeah.
Okay.
I could definitely touch on that, because I had a client to go through that last year. She did buy her home finally, and they want 3 years.
Oh, 3 years. Okay.
Oh, wow.
3 years.
Okay.
And so the first year, she's a hairdresser. So she's self-employed. But the first year she worked part-time at someplace else and was doing hairdressing. The second year, a little bit here and there, totally hairdressing. The third year, totally hairdressing, like totally her business in the shop, everything. So I've done her taxes since 2017, a while. So I've always done her taxes since she moved here, because she's not originally from Chicago. So the lender, she kept asking, the lender wanted to see, when I did her taxes, she was like, don't take too many deductions. And I was like, I'm only going to take what you give me, but you can give me receipts for it. So I'm not taking too many reductions. And I didn't. She made almost about $50,000 last year. And I was like, I'm not going to take like a whole bunch of deductions. I'm just going to take what you gave to me. I didn't think it was a lot from a tax wise. Yes, she still owed taxes. She still had to pay taxes on it. And I did her taxes. Well, it came back around. The lender wanted more information. Can you show this? Can you show this? She brought in, I had to print out my due diligence. It's 8876. due diligence form to say I did her taxes, that I've done her taxes for a while. I had to show her income, like what I use for her income. Like she had to give everything, like all of her individual stuff. And they still were like, oh no, sorry. That's about to die. They still were like, no, that's not enough. I ended up having to write a letter to the lender as her tax preparer to state that everything that I put on her tax return is true.
That's true.
But I printed out my due diligence form that I sign every tax year and printed that to give to them to show I've done everything on this list. It's a checkoff list that we have to send to the IRS. So I thought that would have sufficed, but it did not. It was very painful for her because it was almost a year for her going through this process to try to get the house bought.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. And a lot of times they want profit and loss statements.
Yeah,
I did a profit and loss statement for her.
Yeah,
I did the profit and loss statement.
Profit and loss.
3 years. Then I had to, but at the end, I still had to go and I talked to the lender on the phone because after a while, I was like, push her out the way. Let me talk to what exactly are y'all asking? I said, because I'm a tax preparer. Yes, I have a PTIN number. Yes, I'm registered with the IRS. I don't know. I can only go off of what the information I have that I've seen that she's given me. Like, I was like, you make it seem like my word, like I'm some way I can validate her. And I was like, I'm just her tax preparer at this point, and I know what information I put on here. I've got proof. She has receipts. The numbers add up, give or take, round off $100 here, there. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like I was making stuff up. You know what I mean? Right. And they still were like, well, could you please just write the letter and send it, and hopefully this works. And I guess it worked because she ended up closing on the home, but it took a lot. It took a lot. And it wasn't, and the thing about it is, what I don't understand when it comes to lenders and to business, you have your business, everything that you do for your business, well, not everything, within the reason. There are some limits. You can't write off everything. We ain't writing off trips to, you can't write off everything. But with the things that you can write off that are legitimate, the lender was just like, no, we don't want to see that. And I was like, it was like a double-edged sword. Like, I don't know what the balance it was between that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And they all had their own set criteria, and they pretty much trying to streamline it.
Yeah.
And then some underwriters are just more conservative than others, and especially with COVID, they're being a lot more thorough and want more documentation. So, I would advise anybody that is self-employed, if they're looking to purchase, that they have those financial documents together long before, if you're thinking about it, 2 years in advance, make sure you have at least 2 years in advance, make sure you have all your, documents together.
I think every self-employed person should have financials anyway, even if you don't think that you need them. A simple like profit and loss and a balance sheet. I do a balance sheet for myself.
We get those requests all the time.
Yeah,
Eric and I get those requests all the time.
Do that.
Well, you ladies,
everyone should have.
Yeah. Well, you ladies see what type of attorney. Georgette is an attorney. She's I call her a real estate attorney. My real estate attorney. I've used her for several clients, and I refer her out to many. And you can see how well informed she is. She's very informed on all the way across the board. And just talking about the transaction period, Georgette, I asked you to come in because I definitely want you to be able to explain to people. We see how Erica and Dana covers everyone on their taxes and things of that nature. How do you cover people in a real estate transaction? What's the benefit of a real estate attorney? And do we need a real estate attorney? Do we need an attorney, period, in the transaction?
Well, I always strongly recommend that if you're purchasing or if you're selling a property, that you should have an attorney. And I would go as further to say you should have an attorney that is knowledgeable in real estate. They don't have to be solely or exclusively in real estate, but they should be well versed in real estate transactions. Just like any other area of the law, there's a lot of little nuances. I don't practice divorce or personal injury, and so because I don't know all the different nuances, I'll refer them out. But with real estate transactions, you want someone to protect your interests. So that means you need someone who understands the real estate market, understands what interest they're protecting. On the seller side of things, you definitely need a real estate attorney. There's documents that have to be prepared in preparation for closing. There's a title commitments that have to be ordered, and sometimes there are things on title, which I will go as far as to talk about federal tax liens. So we're talking about taxes, for example. Sometimes people don't know that there are federal tax liens that are on the property until an attorney orders the title commitment, gets the title commitment back, and finds out, oh, do you know you have state and federal tax liens? So you have to clear those items up before you can sell that property. Otherwise, you're not providing clear title. So that's where you'll need an attorney to assist and help, because that won't show up on a regular tax search on the Cook County or the Will County site to see. That's in a different database that you would not have access to unless you order a title commitment. So do you?
I'm sorry. Do you help with clearing those titles?
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's part of my job as the attorney that represents a seller. I usually like to order that title early on. If I get a contract, I order that immediately, because just like the buyer has certain due diligence things they have to do within that time period when they sign and get to closing, the seller has the same some obligations under that contract as well. And one of those things is clearing title, and that takes some lead time sometimes, because sometimes you find out the title is not exactly in the client's name, and then there's some things you have to clear up regarding airships, and so that takes time to do, or somebody has passed away and you have to locate another member. It's just various things. So you need representation to help assist you and guide you. And again, there are documents that have to be prepared on the seller side to get to closing. On the buyer side, same thing. You need someone to represent you and represent your interests. If you have some concerns that you have in the transaction, your attorney is going to memorialize that in writing. There's an attorney review period in all standard real estate contracts that you get. So that attorney reviews that contract, makes modifications. If you give them some other parameters you want them to address, that's addressed in the attorney review and modification. And then you want to make sure, even on the buyer side, that the seller has cleared the title items that they are supposed to clear by the time you get to closing. And so sometimes people think that, I can go without having an attorney on the buyer side. I've done this before, and they don't necessarily know all the different details that go into it. And then depending on where you're purchasing, different municipalities have different rules and regulations. You need to make sure that that's taken care of. Village inspections. I've gotten to closings even sometimes where the attorney wasn't familiar because they weren't necessarily a real estate attorney.
There was a divorce attorney.
That had to be. They were general, and maybe they had a closing here and there because they're different. You've done closing in Chicago, maybe different from some different rules in a suburban area. So Chicago doesn't have an inspection, requirement, but certain other municipalities do. Or transfer stamps have to be paid in advance. So it's a lot of different nuances that if you had an attorney that is knowledgeable can protect your interests in the transaction.
So do you help with foreclosures? Like, what is that process like? Say if or a person is trying to buy a house that's in foreclosure. Like,
so,
is it a process, or is that something?
If I'm representing a buyer, can you guys hear me? Because I think
yes,
there was a little feedback.
Representing a buyer, we can hear you.
Okay, one of the things I do put in my attorney review, I ask that question whether it is a foreclosure, and not that the process would necessarily change, but there may be some delays, or there may be some time constraints that the seller may have depending on where they are in the process that you as a buyer would need to know. You don't want to go through this whole process trying to get all your finances together, and this person is in the middle of a foreclosure or already at the point where there's a sale date, and you only have a certain amount of time. And we all know how the lending process is. It may not happen exactly when you have you spell it on the contract. So you would want to know if they're going through that process at that time, because you may be up against some time constraints. Other than that, if they say they're at the beginning of the process of foreclosure, you can still go through the transaction. The seller has to get, the seller has to just get a payoff. That payoff spells out that that case would be dismissed, and the title company is also going to make sure they get the proper documentation to show that once it's paid off, that case, if there's a pending foreclosure case, is dismissed. So that would be a standard process.
It pretty much along the line of a traditional sale. It's just that, especially if it sells beyond the amount that's owed on the property.
Say that again.
I say it's more.
Oh yeah, if it's beyond the amount, right? If it's not short funds, that's a different situation. If it's a short sale,
right. Different animal,
right? And a short sale is where the seller is asking the lender to take less money that's owed to pay them off. So a lot of people think that a short sale is short in time. But it's far from it, actually. Right. So it could take months, almost years. I mean, the longest one I've had was 8 months. So you're asking the lender. So sometimes properties are upside down. The value is not there. So when they're looking to sell the property, they still owe more than what the property is worth. So then they are asking this lender to take less money from the sale of the transaction. But it's an entire process that you have to go through. It's not just asking the lender, can you take less? They have a process that you need to go through. So you do need to know if you're looking to buy and the listing says a short sale, then you need to have time on your hands, because no one can dictate how long that process may take. I've had one that took 30 days, which is really unheard of, but a lot of them take months because it goes through a process, hardship letters, they review, listings to see how long it's been on the market. They'll do their own appraisal to analyze it. So if you're a buyer that's looking to move right away, you need to go another direction and not necessarily look at, something that's advertised as a short sale. And if you're on the seller trying to do that, you really need to try to engage an attorney or a real estate agent that is an expert in short sales to begin that process. Sometimes even before you actually have a contract, you can at least get part of it and get the package that they have for you to start completing. Start
preparing. So I pretty much tell a lot of, especially a lot of people that think their home is undervalued. This market here, you shouldn't be going through a foreclosure or a short sale, depending on the condition of the property. Market values have been up throughout the city and the suburbs, and it's rare. I have seen just maybe a short few of short sales. And a couple of them I've seen come up out of their short sale status because the property sold for more than what the person owed on it, unless they pulled several different mortgages on it. So in this market here, you should be able to sell your property and pull yourself up out of their short sale status. So, but with the real estate transaction itself, Georgette, I know you kind of expanded on the listing side or on the seller side. How do you protect your clients as far as on the buy side dealing with like their earnest money? Can they lose their earnest money? And is there a time frame?
You can. So the standard, most contracts is you see the 7.0. You have to tender earnest money within a certain period of time of when you execute the contract. And so you have certain contingencies in the contract. your attorney review, your inspection contingencies, and those are typically 5 business days after the seller accepts the contract. So you can cancel in between that time if you disapprove of the condition of the property, or if your attorney disapproves of the contract. It can't be based solely on price,
Right.
but you can, if you disapprove within those time periods, you can cancel the contract and retain your earnest money. Now,
So,
if you get past that period, and so attorney review is over, inspection is over, the other contingency that you have left is your mortgage contingency. So some people have the disbelief that, okay, if I don't get financing, I automatically get my money back.
right.
You get your money back if you have your attorney making sure that you advise the seller, you notify the seller's side that if you're unable to get the financing, you have a certain time period in which to get financing, or what you'll hear, clear to close or firm commitment. If you don't get that within that time frame, your attorney needs to ask for an extension of that time period, because you may not have the financing, a firm commitment by that time period. And on most cases, you almost never have it by that time period.
Right.
So if your attorney doesn't extend that date, and you don't notify the seller side that you're unable to get the financing within that time period, you could possibly lose your earnest money. It's just not, okay, I can't get financing. You don't say anything. I typically interface with the lender, follow up, a couple of days before. It's usually 5 business days before the date of the closing that's in the contract.
Uh-huh.
And I find out if, hey, what's going on, what's the status of the loan, because I would need to ask for an extension, and I send over a formal extension. But if you don't send that extension and you don't notify them within that time period, that's the way they could lose their earnest money. So it's just not a given if you don't get financing. So
Okay.
So a lot of the protection that you have is like in the beginning we asked, is an attorney needed in a transaction? So if a person chooses to go without an attorney, if they don't know the deadlines and the contingency dates, that's where they pretty much put themselves in jeopardy.
yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. And they have to interface with the other side. The other side has an attorney. I mean,
Right.
if you're not represented on the buyer side by an attorney, you better be sophisticated enough to make sure you get an extension. But I just wouldn't recommend it. I mean,
No,
I wouldn't recommend it.
I don't recommend nobody go through any kind of, especially a real estate transaction, without an attorney. I don't recommend them to go without a home inspection. And a lot of times people believe that if they just waive the home inspection, that they pretty much just stuck with a home as is.
Right.
What is your take on that?
And that's another thing that attorneys will do, help you explain some of the language in these standard contracts, because you assume, okay, it's as is, so I don't need an inspection, but you need to know what that means. What is the as is condition? On the surface, looking at things, you won't be able to tell what the mechanics look like, and
Right.
you go in, test those things, so you would need to know that. So if once you get a home inspection and you find out as is not what you want, then you
Right.
get out of the contract. As is just means that the seller is not going to do likely not going to do any repairs, and you're taking the property as it is. But you still need to know what that means.
Right.
Because from the naked eye, you don't know what as is means. Some stuff could look really nice, but the mechanicals are shoddy. And the last thing you want to do as a buyer is come in and have to put a lot of money into hot water heater or furnace. And then if you don't get those right, and if you don't get those inspections, you kind of waive your right to go after a seller for like fraud or
Misrepresentation. Right.
Yeah.
So I typically tell them, even though we submit an offer as is, have a home inspection. If something come up, there's been times where it can be negotiated that if the seller, there's been times where the seller actually repaired some of the things that came up in the home inspection just to get the property sold.
Yes, and I'm one that would still ask for certain things, even if that's as is, because one of the things sometimes you have buyers who are FHA or VA finance, and with FHA, with FHA and VA, they send out an appraisal. And the appraiser, when he comes out, I mean, he is not doing a full inspection, but he is looking at certain items to make sure they comply with FHA standards. And so sometimes the appraiser may come in and say certain things need to be corrected. And so if you have a property that's as is and you have a VA buyer, again, that's where an attorney will come in to be able to say and put in our attorney review, you know, with the exception of, you know, with the FHA repairs, you're going to agree to make these repairs because we can't go any further. FHA will require the seller to do those repairs prior to closing. So, so that's another reason why you need an attorney to sort of explain some of the language in the contract.
Right. So even with so I'm glad you mentioned the appraisal. So when an appraisal is done, and most of this stuff I know, but I want you to, if they hear it coming from an attorney, they know it's authentic. So when an appraisal is done and the property comes in undervalued, maybe let's say a property is being sold at $240, but it appraised at $200. How do you protect your client, or how do you cover your client in that position?
Again, it's part of that attorney review. I have standard language that I do include to address issues like that, because those are foreseeable issues that could come up. And so you want to have representation to make sure they address these issues. Like, for example, I will indicate you're not obligated to move forward if it doesn't appraise at the value, because the contract don't speak to if it appraises out or not. So you do have to make that statement in an attorney review that if it doesn't appraise out, your client is not obligated to move forward, or the parties will agree to renegotiate. And if they can't renegotiate a reduced price, then they can terminate and get their earnest money back. Because in this market, particularly last year, some sellers wanted buyers to waive that appraisal contingency, pay above the appraisal.
Yeah,
I had two clients, pay more than their appraised value, and only because there was nothing out there. One, went to look for something else, but couldn't find it, and against my better judgment,
right,
she paid the additional funds.
And with that, when we talked about short sale, down the line, depending on the location of that property, that could eventually turn into a short sale, because obviously they're praying above the market value. They're pretty much walking in upside down already.
Yeah, it could down the line. In some cases, some of these sellers, they had other properties coming up on the market, and they were trying to create that value. Right. So the next sale could come up to that same level.
Yeah, we want to set the standard. Yeah. So, man.
Oh, I have one question, Ms. Georgette. Look.
Yes.
Do you help with families, like if someone passed and you trying to change the deed of a house, like a parent?
Probate.
Do you help with? Do you help with stuff like that? I mean, not even say if a parent passes away, so now the kids want to make sure they can have access to the house or keep the house, or if they want to sell the house. What processes do they have to go through in order for like one of the kids to get the home so they can sell it? Okay,
so I don't handle probate, but there are cases in real estate. I actually just did a closing where a father passed away, and it was four siblings, different states, and they sold the property. So they did not have to go through probate, but for the title company, they did have to pay a higher premium, because when someone passes away, there are certain, you have creditors, and usually after 2 years, sometimes people don't do anything when someone passes away. They don't, they don't go to probate. They don't do anything, and then they just pay the
Right, exactly, right. Okay.
and then now they want to sell. Well, in certain circumstances, you can do that, but there's documentation you have to get together. The title company want affidavits of heirship, statements basically saying who are the heirs, if there's any outstanding expenses of the estate, etc. And then they charge you a higher premium for the title policy in order for you to sell. And then each heir has to sign off on the deed. So that's one way. There are certain circumstances, if there is a will and that individual has left property to, then you have to probate that will and go to a probate attorney to initiate that. And then once you get to a certain point, then you can sell the property. Yeah.
So Georgette,
so let me can I say one other thing with that?
Come on.
Or you can plan when it comes to real estate to before someone passes away, put property in a trust, and you can avoid that probate. Like with real estate, you can put that real estate in a land trust. And then you can name beneficiaries. So once that person, when they pass away and they name beneficiary, you're not going through the probate process. It automatically is going to the named beneficiary or successor beneficiary. So it's some things you can do before.
Okay. That helps.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a question along the same lines as you were asking, Erica, because I have a client. It's the exact same thing. Her her aunt who raised her passed away. She had a 2-flat building. She's been in the building for a year. The aunt's been dead a year and a half. She's just continued to pay the mortgage. However, she now either wants to sell the building or purchase it, like put it in her name, get a whole own new mortgage and do everything with that. She's come to me because her aunt hadn't done her taxes for the past 4 or 5 years. And I guess whoever she's working with, lender or whomever, said that her aunt's taxes have to be done up until the point before she can sell the property or either sell it or either buy it for herself.
You said the aunt was deceased?
That's deceased. That's been deceased like a year and a half.
Okay. And did the aunt have a will and
no
that's another. You might want to.
I don't understand, but you know that's a whole
so she's come to me. I'm doing the taxes. I got to go back. I'm thinking she's either the attorney or whoever she's working. I don't know who she's working with, but I know she's come to me to say she wants me to do the taxes, her aunt's taxes, because she's got all the information for like the past 5 years to go back and do the tax return, and then
I have a whole lot of questions.
I do too.
Related to that scenario, because and Ernest, you may want to bring a probate attorney on to discuss those kind of issues, because
I say we do a part 2.
Because I never heard of this, and I was like, I do the taxes, but I'm not.
Right. First of all, the question is, she died. If she died without a will, then you have what they call intestate succession, how her property is to be divided. If she had a spouse before she died, she had children before she died. Did she have any children?
Well, the girl who I'm doing is her child.
Oh, that is her child. Okay.
Yeah. It's an adopted child. Like you know how your aunt raised you, your grandmama raised you.
No.
You mean actual biological?
Right.
Right.
No. Actually biological or like adopted with paper. Not that's another discussion too, right? Because that's another discussion too, because people assume that because they've been a part of somebody's life that they own this property and they have no legal rights to the property. But again, that's another discussion that you could talk about in terms of, and unless they've been in the property for 20 plus years and you get into another, trying to claim the property under different circumstances, she may not even be entitled to. But if she, a play sister, daughter, that's not a biological or adopted daughter.
Mhm.
So, and if she didn't have any children, um,
She has siblings. The aunt has siblings, but no children.
I don't think they
That's going to pretty much that's definitely going to be an estate sale, and a probate attorney that need to take over that
Okay.
before they even get to Georgette.
Okay.
As far as, because Georgette is going to walk you through the real estate transaction.
Yeah.
She could definitely refer you out to some awesome attorneys like herself. That's going to be able to. She referred the attorney out to my family member and somebody else, Georgette. I can't remember. Well, we had to go through actual probate and set up a estate sale, get a power of attorney. Like you said, a lot of families, you know how families are. You got big mama raising cousin number 3, 4, 5, and 3, 4, 5 thinking that they actually siblings. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
What happened to Georgette? Did she leave?
Probably froze up. When she jumped back on, I get her back in.
Okay.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
we go the final word.
A lot of
I do
times,
wanna.
something like that, you'll definitely have to go through a probate attorney, and then
Mhm.
my family is going through it now, where a power of attorney is established,
Mm-hmm.
released that all to all siblings, and make sure that everybody had an opportunity to claim their right to the property. So they definitely, if you need an attorney, I have one for you, but you definitely can streamline your client through Georgette, and we'll streamline them to the probate attorney.
Yeah, we definitely have to
Okay.
talk online, talk offline
Right.
because
So
Mhm.
it's so
mhm.
many different
Okay.
facets as far as
That's fine.
from an attorney
Yeah.
aspect, and what they could face, and what the challenges that they face with different parts of the actual transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So I could definitely assist you with either referring somebody else,
Okay.
as far as a probate attorney. Like I said, you talk to Georgette. Georgette is well informed.
Mm-hmm.
She's very well
Yeah,
informed.
I got her number. I'm a
Yeah,
pass her number
she's
on.
definitely well
Yeah.
informed. Just like you guys handle that tax, and you see she came in. She's very knowledgeable as far as some of the tax laws that's required in a real estate transaction. So she's coming back on now.
Is she coming back on? Yeah, so we can give
Yeah.
her you and Dana the final word for the evening.
There's
Last 30 seconds apiece.
right. So
We
Georgette,
lost you.
yeah, I don't know
I
what
was like, where'd she go?
I was talking too much.
No,
Not
we
at
just
all.
for right now, we
froze
just want to give everyone a final word.
Okay.
About 30 seconds to just talk about what you do, how people get in contact with you, what's your specialty, and what service you provide. So I guess Miss Georgette, you can go first.
Okay. Again, I see he has my number. You can contact me at 312-572-9189. I primarily do real estate transactions. I review contracts as well, and I do limited co-violation cases. You can also reach me at atttyreynolds@gmail.com. And my last word is just, this is a big transaction, whether you're selling or buying. So it's important that you make sure you have your interests protected. The cost of attorney is minimal compared to what you may lose if you don't have that protection.
Mm-hmm.
Dana.
Absolutely. Sorry about that. Hi, my name is Dana Franklin. You can contact me for this tax season and any future tax seasons as well. Do individual tax and business taxes as well. We'll be starting a small doing bookkeeping services for small businesses who require bookkeeping services as well. That we're adding that to our portfolio at QuadProTax. My contact information, quadprotax@gmail.com is my email address. Phone number 312-529-0228. You can get in touch with me. And for this tax season, I'm just going to say, be patient with the IRS, kind of breathe. And then just, if you don't feel comfortable with your tax preparer, you don't feel comfortable, not with your tax preparer, comfortable with, not understanding tax laws, ask questions of your tax preparer. If you have a question and you really want to know information, just ask questions, or you can give me a call and I can field questions too as well. So I'm all about educating. So if you want to ask questions and you don't want to prepare your taxes, I don't have a problem with that. I just want the information, the knowledge to get out there so that everybody is informed and no one is in the dark.
Okay, we got Ernest and Erica.
Well, Erica,
once again.
come on, you got to tell them who you are, Erica.
Oh, I know. Okay, well, Erica, I'm Erica Clark. I'm owner of Quad Pro Tax and Financial Services. Questions are always free. You can give me a call, 312-529-0228. Email me at quadprotax@gmail.com or find me on Facebook, Erica D. Clark, or Quad Pro Tax and Financial Services.
All right. So
all right.
the basis of this show, and I'm gonna wrap it up because the basis of this show is pretty much by bringing knowledge to the audience, informing the audience, and just bringing awareness to every aspect of real estate and business. I'm just like Dana. I want to educate. I want to inform people, and I want to help you. I'm talking to the audience. I want to help you guys build the right team, and I want to open my doors up to my team and to the people that I'm dealing with. You can see everybody's very well informed and very on top of, very much on top of everything that we do, and everybody does their due diligence. So I don't want to overtalk, but I want to thank our guest, Dana Franklin.
Yeah.
I want to thank Ms. Georgette Reynolds. I'm Ernest Casson. I'm your Chicago area realtor. I service the Chicagoland and South suburbs. Miss Erica Clark of Quad Pro Taxes. Hey, 2022 tax season is here. And you guys need to reach out to Quad Pro Tax and Ernest Casson and Georgette Reynolds. I want to thank everybody for working us out today. We went over time like a big dog.
That's okay. This was a lot of information to get in.
Right, but I think the information is well valid as far as us. It gives us a validity. I hope I'm saying that right to go over time. So thank you, ladies, and I appreciate you guys for being a part of my show. All right,
thank you. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
Y'all don't have to get off, but I'm gonna stop the live.
Okay.
Okay.
So